Welcome to Stories. My best friend tricked me into wearing a dress. Ben was always the quiet one, the type who preferred to stay in the background and avoid attention. He didn't mind it, really. Blending in was easy. His college life had been about doing just enough to get by. He wasn't a show-off. He didn't want to stand out. But one Friday night, all of that changed when his roommates, Sarah and Lucas, decided to push him out of his comfort zone in a way he never saw coming. They had been sitting in their living room, enjoying some late-night snacks and catching up after a busy week of classes. The conversation was light, mostly about plans for the weekend. But then Sarah, ever the instigator, made a suggestion that Ben would never forget. "Ben, you're always so serious," Sarah said with a playful grin. "You never do anything fun. How about a challenge?" Ben raised an eyebrow. "What kind of challenge?" Lucas, sitting next to Sarah, smirked. "We bet you can't go out dressed as a girl for a whole weekend. Just, embrace it. Dress up, put on some makeup, and do the whole thing." Ben's jaw dropped. "What? No way. You guys are out of your minds." Sarah leaned forward, her eyes glinting with mischief. "Oh, come on, Ben. We know you're secretly curious about stuff like this. It'll be hilarious." Ben shifted in his seat, feeling a rush of nervous energy. He had never even considered dressing up as a girl before. He wasn't the type to draw attention to himself. But Sarah and Lucas had a way of making things sound less scary than they seemed. "I'll do it," Ben said finally, not really sure what he was committing to, but eager to put an end to the teasing. "But you have to promise that you'll help me. I don't even know where to begin." Both Sarah and Lucas exchanged a look, and then in unison, they said, "Deal." The next morning, the fun began. Ben was already feeling nervous as he sat down on the edge of Sarah's bed, watching her lay out her makeup and various items of clothing in front of him. Lucas was standing off to the side, a knowing grin on his face as Sarah pulled out a satin robe for him to wear while she got started. "First, we need to get your face ready," Sarah said with confidence. "Don't worry, I'm a pro." Ben was unsure of how to react, but he let Sarah take charge. As she expertly applied foundation, he tried to ignore the butterflies in his stomach. He'd never worn makeup before, never thought of himself as someone who would. But the sensation of the brush on his face was strangely calming, almost like he was being transformed into someone else entirely. "You've got great bone structure," Sarah said, her voice full of encouragement. "This is going to be so much fun." Ben tried not to let his nerves show, but the reality of what was happening hit him as Sarah finished applying mascara and lipstick, and Lucas helped him with his hair. "You look great," Lucas said, giving him an approving nod. Ben glanced at himself in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back at him. His features were softer, more feminine, and the makeup gave his face an almost ethereal glow. But that wasn't the most shocking part. It was the way he felt, more confident somehow, even though he had no idea how to walk in heels or what to do with the wig that now sat on his head. And then Sarah held up the dress. Ben's heart skipped a beat. "It's perfect for you," she said, holding it up with a smile. The dress was black, form-fitting, and had a modest neckline with a flared skirt that would accentuate his new figure. For a moment, Ben hesitated. The idea of wearing such a thing felt strange, almost unnatural, but something about the way Sarah looked at him made him think he could pull it off. "Just try it on," she urged. "You'll be surprised." Reluctantly, Ben took the dress and changed into it, the soft fabric brushing against his skin. It felt strange but comfortable. A weird sense of relief washed over him. The dress clung to his body in a way that felt more feminine than he ever expected, and for the first time in a long time, he felt alive. When Sarah helped him into a pair of heels, Ben wobbled a little, but after a few moments, he managed to stand up straighter. The heels gave him a different posture, a sense of grace he never knew he had. "So, what do you think?" Sarah asked, standing back to look at him. Ben turned slowly in front of the mirror, examining his reflection. He looked nothing like the person he had been just a few hours ago. His face was framed by the wig, his lips were painted with a deep red that made his smile seem more genuine, and the dress made him look taller, slimmer. He had to admit he looked good. Really good. "I can't believe it," he muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. "You look amazing," Sarah said with a smile. "Let's get you out into the world and show off this new look." Ben's heart was pounding as they left the apartment. He could barely look up as they made their way into the city streets. Every time he caught a glimpse of his reflection in a store window, he was shocked all over again. He couldn't believe this was him. His thoughts were racing. What if someone recognized him? What if people judged him? But as he walked alongside Sarah and Lucas, the initial wave of anxiety began to fade. The real challenge came when they entered a crowded nightclub. The flashing lights, the pounding music, it all felt overwhelming at first. But as Sarah and Lucas led him deeper into the club, Ben's nerves began to settle. He was still nervous, but there was a strange sense of freedom being out in public, embracing something so different. He stood by the bar, awkwardly adjusting his dress and clutching his purse tightly. But when a few strangers smiled at him, he felt a warmth spread through him. He was noticed, not for his usual awkwardness, but for who he was now. The attention was unfamiliar, but it wasn't judgmental. People were just interested, curious, maybe even admiring him. As the night wore on, Ben began to relax. He caught himself dancing, laughing, and enjoying the attention he was receiving. He was no longer just pretending. He wasn't hiding behind his usual self anymore. For the first time, Ben felt truly free, comfortable in his own skin. Later that night, when the club started to slow down and the lights dimmed, Ben found himself sitting at a table with Sarah and Lucas. He wasn't sure how to put into words what he was feeling. "I never thought I'd feel all of this," Ben admitted, his voice quieter now. "This feels like me. I don't know how to explain it." Sarah gave him a knowing look. Sometimes it takes doing something completely unexpected to realize who we really are. "Maybe this is more you than you think." Ben nodded slowly, realizing how true that was. He had always hidden behind a quiet, unassuming personality, avoiding anything that might bring attention. But now, dressed up as a girl, he felt something different, a sense of confidence, a feeling that he was being seen for the first time. "Are you ready to go back?" Lucas asked, looking over at Ben with a smile. Ben smiled back, but there was something different in his eyes now. "Yeah, but, can we do this again sometime?" Sarah raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. "Next time, we'll go full glam. Trust me, you'll love it." Ben chuckled, feeling a sense of liberation he hadn't known before. This wasn't just a bet anymore. This was something more. He was embracing a part of himself that had been hidden for years, and it felt amazing. He wasn't just playing a role. He was exploring a version of himself that felt more authentic, more real. "Yeah," Ben said, nodding with a grin. "Let's do it." The weekend came to a close, but the experience stayed with Ben long after the makeup had been wiped away and the dress had been returned to Sarah's closet. It was more than just a dare. It had opened something in him, a new path to self-exploration and self-expression. For the first time in his life, Ben felt truly free. It wasn't about the clothes, the makeup, or the heels. It was about the confidence that came with stepping outside his comfort zone and discovering something about himself he had never dared to explore. As he walked back to his dorm that Sunday night, Ben knew that this wouldn't be the last time he dressed up as a girl. It was just the beginning of a journey toward understanding who he truly was, and for the first time, he was excited to see where it would take him. Thank you for joining us on another captivating journey through Zoe's stories. Remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale. Until next time, keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep believing in the magic of storytelling. See you in the next chapter.